Wow, Minister Jasu Jala is ready this morning, and I understand she will be going to Egypt the Guru this morning for another program, but she's just listening kind of this morning. Let's join our guest this morning, Dr. I want to say good morning and welcome to your show this morning.
Thank you, Maxine, and it's really refreshing catching up with you. You know,
We all worked together before at the Ministry of Education on the Broad Street.
Absolutely,
Of course, and you were so fascinating, very knowledgeable,
right.
well, proactive. And here we are again. I say with you.
Well, I'm doing well, and the Civil Service Agency is up and running and doing very well. 2 years now. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity, for the endowment. Everything that we do at the Civil Service Agency is from a collective and a team approach. We have wonderful people, experts, specialists in different fields. And I want to thank His Excellency the President for the opportunity provided me to provide leadership at Liberia Civil Service Agency. I think the transformation is on in keeping with the President's vision. And this morning, I'm really excited. This is a privilege. I don't think so many people have this opportunity.
No.
Ministry of Education program and the Director General
For the minister to allow
the Director General to come on the program.
She told me, say, okay, it is like to do no problem. I know we are collaborating together. Because so
And that's true.
University.
And that's true. That's true. Our collaboration is excellent. Yeah, it is robust. The kind of leader she is, educationalist. I always used to say, Maxine, you remember when I was at the ministry that one time in fact I wrote something that brought me over to the minister's office, Dr. Koto's office, and he read it and he sent for me and said, well, you are here as a consultant on the UNICEF project to help us with developing the project proposals and developing the programs for, the girls' education program, bringing parity between the girl child and the boy child, completing basic education. So I always say that education governance is very critical. When you have a leadership, that knows exactly what to do and what programs, to target and how to make the interventions, professionally, robustly, and effectively, you succeed. And that those qualities are in the current Minister of Education. And that's why I respect her so much. Dr. Jasu Mali Jala. I want to congratulate her for the beautiful work she's doing. She and her team at the ministry. And probably that's one of the first questions you want to ask.
Are you minded to
the current education?
We've been in the education system for a very long time.
Yeah.
And you work with us, you read some books and things like that. But as you look at the education system for now, what is your assessment? What do you think that the president just said, excellent, excellent for now.
Yeah.
And Ellen Johnson said she impressed.
Yes.
You now, what's your own impression about
I am also profoundly impressed. I am impressed.
Okay.
And I'm not just throwing words out there, but the minister is very strategic in her approach. First, at the bottom, the foundation of our educational ladder, is early childhood development.
Yeah.
It's not just early childhood education, because early childhood education, cognitive development, social development are embedded into what we call early childhood development. And I really appreciate the fact that the minister specifically targeted that to expand it, to strengthen it with infrastructure, with content, looking at curriculum and everything. I think when we have a solid foundation, when we give the children solid foundation, that forms the basis for a resilient education system, for a powerful manpower development in our country, because only educated, informed people are able to transform this nation. And Dr. Jala has come at the right time. And I think that strategic intervention at the ladder of our educational system is critical. And I'm so glad that she's not leaving anything untouched in this process, and that the investment at that level is robust, is effective. And I can assure you that what the president talking about us now being at excellence, he means it. 100%. Because you can see the tangibles, you can see what's happening in the system, but not just at the ladder. Dr. Jala is leading, a profound reform in our educational system. That's what she is doing. She is looking at curriculum development. She is looking at monitoring, supervision. And Maxine, these are some of the issues we had before.
Yeah.
Yes. And that we tried to work on through the fast track initiative when we started the post-war initiative.
Yeah.
The first 10-year education sector plan, I was involved with rolling it out.
And GSR,
yes. Yes.
And you were there.
I was there. Yes.
I can remember.
And those are some of the critical issues we have, like taking a comprehensive look at the curriculum, reforming it to align with the demands of our labor sector, the demands of our manpower development strategically. Now, so I am so glad that Dr. Jala's leadership has targeted these critical areas. Now she's looking at curriculum reform. She's looking at curriculum supervision and monitoring. She's not leaving it to the partners. She has made the ministry to take ownership, to lead the process while partners are supporting.
Okay.
I think
let me just come to you. Now, when you were at the Ministry of Education, before we get to our critical issue for today,
right?
You was working with girls' education.
Right.
That was a focus area. Precisely.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Now, today at the Ministry of Education, the minister's first priority is girls and inclusive education. What's your impression about that?
I am very impressed because diversity, equity, and inclusion was my specialty for my PhD in industrial organizational psychology. Even my dissertation, the effect of gender inequality in Liberian workplaces, implication to performance and well-being. And I highlighted the data is there, the numbers are there. And we have to be able to position women, strategically. Mental health is critical, and inclusivity is very important. And I have not only listened to her mention these things, stress these things, I've listened to her talk about the strategic interventions. Yeah, how we can have inclusive workplaces, how we can have inclusivity in the classroom, embedded in the education culture. She has placed emphasis on those, and it is translated into policies that you are implementing at the Ministry of Education. So that is very critical. But I was talking about the overall education system.
Yeah.
I talk about curriculum development. I talk about monitoring supervision. It's very effective. That's the content. Yeah. That's the content that she also places emphasis on. And the technical vocational education and training people that you talk about it, she's collaborating with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Yeah. But Ministry of Education also has a significant role to play in skills development, in vocational development. And that's going well through different vocations across technical and vocational institutions in the country. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not just saying all is rosy, but she has mustered the courage, and her leadership really has embraced that. And they are making these interventions that are quite laudable and that we need to be talking about. I know that challenges remain, but we just gone 2 years, and we're going like almost 6 years, like in the education sector. So I'm optimistic, like many Liberians, like the president, His Excellency Joseph Imobuaka indicated, like former President Madam Ellen Johnson said, I know her comment she made yesterday, and I know what she said now. To give such impression about the educational system currently, it means a lot. It means a lot, and that's a pat on the shoulder of the Ministry of Education. But equally, so it's a challenge for them to rise up and do more. But we talk about content. Let's look at infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Infrastructure is another critical area you guys are very, very important. You're talking about the Excel program. I was at the launch, by the way,
I was there.
Now, Excel is targeting about 100 schools across the country, building the infrastructure, the building.
That is a revival in the land for education.
And also, we're talking about the foundation of our education ladder. Now, many people we hear me say education ladder, the educationalists understand that, but the education ladder is our education system. Yeah. You have the foundation, the early childhood, you have the elementary, you have the junior secondary, which is basic. Yeah. It's called basic education. And then you have the senior secondary. Yes. Then you have tertiary. Tertiary college, university, technical vocational institutions. So usually those of us who understand the language of the sector, we call it the education ladder. Yes. So at the bottom of the ladder, at the bottom
of the ladder,
junior, I am the first, of my siblings, and I mean, I think I deserve that junior status. All right, so let me say that the infrastructure part, is something intriguing. 100 schools, if those schools come up, which I have no doubt that they're going to be built under the leadership of this dynamic minister, those schools will be built. And Liberia chose.
Speak right now, the advertisement ongoing for the project coordinator, for the specialist, for ME, for also the procurement specialist.
The only thing I would say is that the civil service agency needs to be involved at that level. And I know the minister is listening this morning because we have to bring the professional angle. We have to bring that professional angle in keeping with our structural collaboration between our two institutions. I just said that in passing, but I know that the minister has always, and we've related and collaborated on these issues. So the infrastructure part is very important. Now, those schools are going to strengthen the early childhood development program because these schools will be targeting elementary school students, and that will not be isolation of the early childhood. It will be all inclusive. I mean, all inclusive programs. This is quite significant for childhood development, for cognitive development, from the start, for social development. It's going to be very, very important, very significant. So I'm touched by that. Not only that, she's now looking at what the infrastructure at the level of secondary looks like in the country. And talking about
foundation also coming in.
I'm aware. And the minister invited me at that level. The Mastercard Support Initiative. In fact, there's a steering committee that the civil service agency is part of. So this is an inclusive government supervision responsibility that I'm part of. And I'm proud. And I'm saying the things I'm saying. Director General of the Civil Service Agency, but I'm talking about education the way I do. It tells you that the minister is now operating in silos. No, she has an inclusive approach, and that's what we are doing because the president has charged us to be transparent, to be accountable in our service delivery, and part of that is inclusivity. It's making sure that we touch base with our sector institutions, public institutions, that we can work together collaboratively, pool resources, share ideas, learn, and be able to deliver effectively and efficiently. That's how productivity is achieved. And I think the minister and her leadership, they are on course when it comes to that.
Dr. Joga, of course, he's the CSA Director General, the Republic of Liberia. He had a lot of things. One of your position here, let me just for other people understand as well. You also serve as the chairman of Health and Public Service Network of Africa.
That role is going for 2 years, and I was elected by my colleagues from different African countries at the regional meeting held in Monrovia last year in March. In fact, our first anniversary is maybe this March.
Wow.
And in my capacity, I am helping to draft reform in public sector across the continent, Africa, and the health sector. And the reason why we say the health sector is because we are collaborating with healthcare institutions, ministries, and agencies providing healthcare services in African countries, specifically for the integration of healthcare workers into civil service systems. And one of the main reasons why Liberia was targeted because our reform has gone across Africa beyond our region. What we are doing to bring healthcare workers onto the government's payroll. This has not been something happening across African nations. And they see that it has become a reality in Liberia. And so they are using Liberia's model. As a matter of fact, I was just 3 months ago in Addis Ababa, where I presented Liberia's model of integrating healthcare workers into civil service system to ministers of health across Africa and the Caribbean, and then heads of public service institutions like public service commissions, like civil service commissions in Addis Ababa, right there, and it was quite amazing.
Wow.
And this is being embraced hardly across. In fact, at that meeting, there was a side meeting that was held, convened by ECOWAS member states, where Liberia was also unanimously elected to lead the establishment of the ECOWAS public service framework. The ECOWAS public service framework. This year, yes. So currently I'm the chair. I'm the one
Wow.
leading the establishment of that framework. And this year, we are going to work with the Ministry of State, the President's Office. We're going to work with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, to make sure that that conference takes place, and it's going to be the Monrovia Declaration, establishing the ECOWAS Public Service Framework.
Good.
Whatever the framework is going to be called, I don't know.
Good.
But now, that's what currently my leadership as chairman of HAPSNA, the Health and Public Service Institutions, the Network of Africa, is doing, is driving across Africa. That's what we do.
Let's come to our discussion for today's edition of the program, Education at Midweek. We have with us Dr. Joka. He's the CSA Director General of the Republic of Liberia. Doc, I want you to please give us update on this issue of One Child, One Chair initiative.
Absolutely. Again, that's another great intervention that the Ministry of Education is significantly involved with.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the historicity to tell you how it started, but I really got involved. You remember, I hate to be talking about this, but I need to mention it. Because it's about my colleagues. When the president in February of last year suspended a huge number of government officials, for not complying with the declaration. Yes, immediately the civil service agency, keeping with this mandate, because when you are suspended by the president, CS, they have to pay the payroll for all. Government officials, appointed officials, and civil servants. We have the payroll. So immediately to enforce the president's mandate, we went on the payroll and we blocked all of the officials concerned. You might want to ask me, how did you know who was suspended? We went straight to the LACC website, and then we also asked the LACC. LACC did extremely well. It was a collaborative effort. They provided us the information, and that's in keeping with their job, the LACC. So I want to also commend them for the great collaboration, in different aspects of our work. But this particular one, we collaborated with them. They provided us the details, and we blocked. And then we were able to work with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. That's a critical part. Yeah. We asked them to help us work with the Central Bank of Liberia to create a special account, an escrow account. And the Ministry of Finance was able, working with them, to cut the checks of all those amounts that were blocked. And we moved them over to the special account at the CBL. A little over 90,000 United States dollars was raised. And I immediately pulled down through the Comptroller and Accounting General's office the account statement and provided that to the president to inform me that this is what we were able to raise, after blocking those names. And the president immediately instructed the Civil Service Agency to work with the Ministry of Education and to use the amount, to apply the amount to producing chairs for school-going children. And it was under the special One Child, One Chair presidential initiative. That's how I got to know about it. Don't ask me no question beyond that. I will not tell you the history. I will not tell you, but it existed. Yeah. It did not come about as a result of us, producing chairs under this arrangement. It existed. There are chairs that were produced. I know if you talk to the minister, she will tell you that chairs were being produced prior to the chairs that we produced under the One Child, One Chair presidential initiative. But let me tell you, quite interesting. The minister and I work together to bring the Ministry of Youth and Sports on board. And we did not go outside. We did not outsource the production of the chairs. That's something remarkable people need to know. That we use the Monrovia Vocational Training Center, the MVTC. I tell you, if you don't go to MVTC, you have a different impression. MVTC is equipped. Modern equipment. The machinery, the professionalism of Liberians who have been trained in other countries in different aspects of their work. They produce metal products, they produce wooden products. That's the place I saw the first wheelbarrow. Yes. The first wheelbarrow that has a control tap at the bottom that you can just press, and the wheelbarrow like a dump truck. Yeah. That you see the whole bucket gets lifted and dumps whatever in it, and it comes back and settles in. I thought I was shocked. And you know what? It is durable, it is powerful than what you have in the stores. What you have in the stores are fragile, very powerful. And that motivated Dr. Jala and I a whole lot. And we work with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Ministry of Youth and Sports is doing it from. That's the job of this project. As a matter of fact, we have produced the first set. Last year, before the close of the year, you recall, at the Monrovia City Hall, the launch of the Excel project, we embedded, the handover of 525 modern desks and chairs. You see the president picture, the president and the first lady sitting in those chairs with the desks. 525. Now it's
Made by our own children.
made by MVTC.
Right, yeah.
And right now, I'm telling you, they are now preparing for the second phase.
Wow.
For the second phase. And the minister of the Ministry of Education is going to lead the process of distributing these chairs to needed institutions across the country. But that's not CSA affairs.
Okay.
That is Ministry of Education's affairs. So I can speak to the chemistry in terms of how they're going to be distributed. But I know that they're going to be distributed, and school-going children would benefit. Bring decency to the system, to the classroom. All of those things are motivating factors. When you have the chairs in the classroom, decently prepared, children have, drawers, covers where they can put their materials, their sets, geometry sets. They can put their bowls, they can put their beds, and they have table guarantee, beautiful in the classroom.
Wow.
Yes, you have white bowls like you guys are doing in the classroom and introducing. And the atmosphere is conducive in the classroom. So this is modernizing the education system. Yeah.
Okay, let's come to this one. What's the story about the volunteer teachers that you are working with the Ministry of Education and you're placing them on the payroll? What are the procedures?
One of my favorites.
Wonderful.
One of my favorites. and you know why? You know why I love it?
No.
Because if you think from a humanitarian perspective, people working don't get paid.
Wow.
You're not talking about days, weeks, months. You're talking about years. It has to touch you as a human being. Maxim, a volunteer within the NCSS system before 2 years, and I never got on payroll. Yes, I did. But I started as a teacher. I started as a teacher.
Yeah.
Many of the professors
I'm a witness.
I started as a teacher. I moved from A. Glen Topman to Liberia College of Technology, to J.J. Ross High School, to St. Peter's Lutheran High School, and then TA at the University of Liberia, very young. They started, and working with the late Professor Huey, with our senior brother, Prof. Larry Cooper, with Edwin Jua. I went around providing support, lecture support for many of these people at the University of Liberia, even before I graduated. Computer
very innovative.
Yes, I started. So what I'm doing is not by accident. I grew in the system, got embedded, ring and clouds, the system. Yeah. So I know what it means to be a volunteer teacher. I live it. And that you cannot get paid, and that you are in the same white space with others who are employed. When the month ends, they receive salary, and you don't. It's not only hurting, it's killing. And I can feel what everybody goes through. So this government is a pro-worker government. It's a pro-family government. It's a government that thinks beyond what services you provide. It thinks about you as the individual providing the services, your mental state, your well-being, your family's well-being. This government thinks about. And the way to empower the people who serve their country, with diligence, with dedication, is to be able to reward their services. And on the basis of that, we work with the Ministry of Education. When Dr. Jala took over, she said, look, DG, we need to go across the country. We need to assess what the education system looks like. The classrooms, what they look like, the physical structure. Let's assess the condition of our workers, our teachers, educationalists, Let's know what it is. Let's put ourselves in their shoes. And Dr. Jala did that with her team on the side of assessing the educational system. Then again, alongside with the civil service agency, we build teams of professionals, CSA and MOE. Our teams went across the country and were able to identify and vet volunteer teachers and CSA through her approach when OFAS came to us. We validated. And these are people who are professional. These are people who are embedded in the classroom teaching. These are not some random people. People are taking around. That's why the process is meticulous, and that's why it's taking time. These are people who have licenses, people with their prescribed certificates. You know, in the teaching field required. These are people whom we took into batches. I tell you, into batches. We had the first batch, we finished the first batch. We had the second batch, we finished. The third batch, we finished. I'm not going to call number off the top of my head, but they were in 3 batches. But it was a total of 2,148 when you put all the batches together. That number corroborates yours, right? Absolutely, that was it. And when you look at our system, our payroll system, that's the number 2,148. Here we don't throw numbers out. We're done. And the numbers job. When you finish your annual report, by the way, we finished ours, and it was published on the day the president delivered the SONA, and it's available now on our website, and hard copies are available. And those numbers are going to correspond. They will corroborate. They can corroborate, and those numbers, you know, are aligned. So we don't throw numbers out here. Dr. Jasso is a consummate professional. Equally so I am. So the two of us will make sure that what we say out there to the public is not only what's on paper, but it's what is verifiable. That's the word I want to use. Verifiable. There are sources that you can refer to. And we have put those 2,148 on payroll. Myself, you needed to see the excitement, the jubilation, the tears from some of them rolling. They have never known what you call salary. They have never known what it meant to be on payroll. Never. That's for the teachers. Ministry of Health. The last time I met my big sister, the Minister of Health, who also I consider a mom from a mentorship approach. And her excitement, DG, this is an incredible work. This is an incredible collaboration. We have to continue to lift our people from poverty. When you talk about lifting people from poverty, this is it. This is not coming to sit in studio and throw out numbers and call numbers that are even far beyond 10 times more than the totality of the population of our country. That is insane. That's not lifting people out of poverty. Lifting people out of poverty is seeing the people living it, benefiting from it. You know how many jobs have been created in this country? You know, short-term and long-term being created. I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg of and in total, for that 3,406 volunteer teachers who brought the payroll. Are you saying that's not job creation? When they volunteer, I mean, they were receiving maybe little things out of people caring their humanity, but that was not reward for services. You know, that was not legally. Now we have created those jobs.
Before we go to
the
the minister started this year proactively by trying to Bombing County, expanding some, junior high to full-fledged senior high. Not only Bombing County, she also traveled to Lofa,
my county.
And expanding.
And many people don't understand I'm from Lofa. They think I'm from Bomb. And sometimes the debate is so hard.
You've been part and parcel. When we went to Kola home, the chairman for the volunteer teacher at the time, he was in tears. He said, my knee was now placed on the payroll. So what am I going to do with my position?
How did the minister feel?
I mean,
at that moment,
and the minister was there, the minister of finance was there.
How did they feel?
I mean, we were so excited. The entire community was excited. The women was jubilating and celebrating.
You need to ask me about the nurses.
That
Ask
we'll come to
ask
the
me
next
about the healthcare
one.
workers.
They want an education business. Why your own talk about the minister not sitting in your office before the 10th of January in this place, Bonnie, before the very time she took off for Lofa.
My sim, let me ask you.
Tell me there is a Lofa.
My sim, I work for the Ministry of Education in different capacities.
Yeah, I know.
And you know the extent to which people from the ministry on a daily basis try to come to see me at CSA.
Yes.
You too.
Yes.
You try on several occasions. Sometimes
You always
a meeting at Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm the capital. So I go to the offices of spending entities. This is not a patronage kind of role that I play. This is the practical, it's a soldiering role. It's a role that is practical. I go to ministers. I go to my colleagues in shop, heads of entities. I sit with them. I create awareness on applying the rules in keeping with civil service regulations. There were issues when we started. A lot of people see me differently. Yeah, they think that, and some of them go as far as saying this guy is uncooperative. The guy, and some of them use the word quote unquote arrogant. I'm one of the sweetest persons to deal with.
Wow.
Down to earth. Martin, you know that.
Very humble.
You know that. Very humble. But the problem we've had in our country, once you decide to do the right thing, once you decide to apply the rules, to play by the rules, you are an enemy in every respect. So, and you know why?
No.
I have a courage, a powerful courage. And that's the part that makes them to feel that I'm arrogant. I'm not. And that courage is confidence.
Yeah.
It's confidence. You know how I keep my job, I maintain my job, is by doing it. Yeah, it's not about seeking favoritism. It's not about praying to God, asking for favors. It's about making sure that people who are qualified and need a job, they get a job. It's about making sure that people who are round holes in square pegs, that they are removed and placed in round holes. That square pegs are placed in square pegs. In our society, people have never been accustomed to that. They are not used to that. The moment you do it, you are an enemy. You are hated. But you know what? To be frank, it's not all arrogance, but I don't focus on that. I don't focus about how people feel about how that particular action, affect them. Because if you don't do it, the job doesn't get done. It doesn't. Dr. Jala is a victim of that. Lafayette Giddings is a victim of that. Salif Tyler is a victim of that. Heads of entities and ministers are victims of that chronic ecosystem mentality. That this country, let's just leave it, let's just do it, and I'm my sister's son, I'm my brother's son, let's just do this and that. Yes. The person deserves the job because they are Liberian. But the fundamental question is, are they qualified to do the job? And if they are not qualified, we'll put them in a role. What happens to the overall productivity of the government? What happens to the productivity of that particular entity? And what happens to the regulations? What the law says? It says the civil service agency is the chief advisor, human resource advisor to the government of Liberia. That is why entities in the SOE sector, they call me and ask me for advice. They call the CSA. They ask the CSA. That is why the president's office, I am running up and down to the president's office to advise my colleagues there at the Ministry of State on these matters. That is why my colleagues ask me from different spending entities on what to do. So we're creating an awareness. Look, this thing is not to do your job. We have nothing to do with your core functions. But anything on human resource management related issues, let's compare notes. The role of CSA fundamentally is to support and is to make sure the right thing is done as far as human resource management.
So I asked you earlier regarding the minister visit to Bomi.
I appreciate it. I was trying to lay the premise, but it became so long. So forgive me, And the point I'm trying to make is that we don't sit in our offices. We don't sit. The job is only being done because we are out there.
Okay.
The minister is out there, engaging with the things that matter.
Okay.
Now I am out there, engaging with the things that matter. How many times have you gone to Honorable Giddings' office and things sitting in his office? If he's not at the place they're doing the overhead pass, he's somewhere in Grand Cape County where they're doing the road, or he's on the local road that is being done, or he's in the southeastern region assessing the road projects, and then how do we sit in the office and get a job done? It is not possible. We have to engage with why is President Baka succeeding? Why is this government succeeding? Because you have qualified people who the president has entrusted with delivering upon his mandate, his vision, the erect agenda for inclusive development. It is on course, and everything we are doing, they are strategically aligned with the pillars of the AARD.
Okay. Now, before we open the line, but someone just texted me and said, could you comment on the procedures of dismissing people? Maybe people working with certain entity, and you've been the director general
Right.
of this one.
That is very
Of
critical.
dismissing people
That is very
from
critical.
your entity.
That is strategic, and not from not just my entity, but across the spending entities.
Yeah.
And once the spending entities, there are 107 total, because we have created new entities. When I talk about it's 103. Now 4 new entities have been created during the past 2 years, and now it's 107 spending entities. These are entities that receive money directly from the government to deliver their services. And the CSA has HR management responsibilities support to these entities. Now, there are established regulations. In the executive, we are governed by the standing orders for the civil service, which you know. Yeah. In fact, one time I was in the minister's office when somebody called and was saying something contrary. I was so surprised. The minister said, no, hold on. I know when you get to her. She said, hold on. I have my standing orders right here, right by me. Let me look at it and read it. Yes. The standing orders for the civil service govern the civil service. It is drawn from the act establishing the civil service agency.
Okay.
Yes. And also it is supported by the human resource policy manual that guides all human resource activities within the spending entities. It has procedure for suspension of civil servant, procedure for dismissal, step by step, provision by provision. It has it. It has a provision for transfer of employees, inter and intra, that is between agencies and within the agency. Then it provides for an independent and effective grievance complaint management redressal, meaning a platform for grievance and complaint management. When we took over, the Board of Appeal of the Civil Service was not activated for 18 years. It was not just during the previous administration, but for 18 years it was not activated. And you know what previous heads of entities did? People were fired arbitrarily, people were suspended arbitrarily, people were just transferred based on informal networks and personal connections and things. It was not based on valid reasons. So the first action we took at the civil service, we worked with the Ministry of State, and the president constituted, activated the Board of Appeal. It is independent. So the hearing team of the Board of Appeal is active on a daily basis. They hear cases of dismissal, cases of suspension, cases of transfer, cases of wrong treatment of civil servants. Maxine, I will tell you, for the last 2 years, we have reinstated about 80 civil servants to their positions. 80. Who was? It's more than that. I don't want to just more than that. Wow. More than 80. These are people who were arbitrarily dismissed, people who were arbitrarily suspended. And you know what that has done? It has boosted the confidence of employees that you don't have to be looking over your shoulder when you're working. There is now this job security guarantee, but equally so, we hold civil servants accountable. So they are leaders in those entities. Civil servants also can be reprimanded based on the regulations. And these are the things that when we apply, it becomes an issue outside, because by right, you are just supposed to let it fly. When these things happen and the civil servants are affected, just let it slide. Don't talk about it. No, but we're not going to let it slide, even though that happened before we took over, but we have to apply the regulations.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, thank you so much for giving us some insight regarding your grievance committee there at the Civil Service. And we want to say thank you so much for coming this morning to talk about the relationship between and the collaboration between you and the Ministry of Education. Will you kind of allow us now to open the line?
Absolutely.
Okay. 077212197 is the number to call this morning. Clear your chest. The CSA Director General is here. Dr. Joka is here, Junior. Of course, he's sitting pretty this morning to take your call. Let's take our first caller this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, your name and where you calling from, please.
My name is Haji Ibrahim, calling from Nigeria.
Let's hear you.
Thank you for the proper discussion this morning. I'm happy and I'm listening to the conversation here in
Yeah.
Your speaking alone this morning is actually yes, because you are extraordinary, excellent to the extent when you're speaking, you can see the capability and the ability that is in. So I want to say thank you for the service dedicated. We'll continue to do the hard work that the president gave you the authority. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's take the next one. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Your name and where you calling from, please.
So I am here. I have a concern.
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sano.
Sano Candy. Go away from the receiver. Go away from the receiver, please.
Yeah, okay. My question has to do with who's arrested for the director. Instead when he have a group over to particular level, it's a visual education.
Yeah.
If I occupy the same position, but they are paid different salaries. Is that really fair? When you say I'm an ME, they don't mean that ME is an ME. If I'm a restaurant, making $2 making $100.
Okay, thank you. You answer that. Let's take the good morning. Adidi, your name and where are you calling from, please? Oh, Grandvilla. Yeah.
Thank the Minister of Education and the DGSU.
Uh-huh.
Any leader that doesn't listen, now good leader.
Okay.
And I believe the Minister of Education is a good listening minister.
Okay.
And I believe she will do well. So the DG, thank you for your hard work in the civil service agency.
Okay.
My question to you, are you aware of the 70,000 jobs that are created by this government? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's try to take the next caller here. All right, 077212197. We can take 3 more. Then, of course, we go back to the DG to address this thing. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Your name and where you calling from, please?
Yes, good morning. My name is Alexander Mfatali Jr. And I'm phoning this morning from GS0.
Okay, let's hear you.
Yeah, I just want to say good morning to Dr. John here. I refer to this morning as the American Games, director of the CSA. I'm very much impressed about his deliberation this morning.
Okay.
And Dr. John has convinced me that the CSA had a real cardinal role to play to Liberia because over the last years, they don't know that the CSA has power in terms of regulations, making sure that the rightful things are done in government. So I just want to applaud you for his leadership.
Thank you. Let's take this one. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, Jamel, how you doing this morning?
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's hear you.
My name is Jamel, and I want to just state there for the record that having any flaws in public service for the past decade, I'm not seeing no consistent, no focus, no progressive DG of the civil service like Dr. Jokai. And I just want to open and say to him that Dr. Jokai, we appreciate what you do at the civil service. History is going to be very kind to you for bringing sanity to public service. And he says something that really got to me. He talks about very consistent, very focused, very encouraged. Encouraging guys to do the right thing in this country. People are watching him. You are seeing a lot of people criticizing talking a lot of things about him. And he's arrogant, but he's not arrogant. I worked with the National Civil Service Association as the deputy program director. So I've been for this 40 years, I've been faced with people bringing complaints about wrong dismissal, warning, and what abuse. But since he took over, he has taken seats on that matter. So I said, Dr. Jokai, thank you for bringing sanity. We are watching you. You keep focused to do the right thing in our country because we don't like the right thing in our country. But the thanks for making sure that.
Thank you. Another person is on the line. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I do this more. Is this more? Hello?
Yeah, so, no problem.
Okay, let's hear you, Tuba.
Yeah, just no problem.
Okay, let's hear you this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thank you for bringing the CFC director on this platform, education with.
Yeah.
I have a question. There was this satisfaction so far I expressed in my mind, and I think while hearing him on the radio,
Yeah.
I saw that the president report carried over 3,000 health workers in the country increasement in salary, and then the last fee from the end of education as well. Economic education platform, it will be prudent for us as who in education to ask them why is education being one of the most outstanding and deplorable entity of our country does not have that kind of opportunity to be increased as civil servant as well.
Okay, thank you. Let's take this one. Good morning. Good morning. Your name and where you calling from, please?
Yes, my name is Hussein. I'm Hussein Kim. I call from Pakistan.
Let's hear you.
Yes, sir. Yes. So, you spoke about lengthy and with distinct clarity. We have two questions. Mr. Joker, for some of us who support the government, more especially members of the municipalities elected to you, can you confirm or inform the public of the lowest paid civil servant in the highest government?
Okay, thank you. Let's take this one. Good morning. Good morning. Your name and where you calling from? Let's hear you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's take this one. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Dr. Product Johnson.
Yeah, Doc, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Dr. Joker in studio. I follow him. He's doing a pretty good job, and I was commending publicly this morning because I was just here in veteran educator. But what I just want to let you know is that there are still some volunteer teachers who have received salaries in December, but they are saying they don't have account number. They don't have employment numbers. I don't know how that happened. So that's something to be noted. Probably they don't know the system. They need some orientation, but I think that's what I'm suspecting.
Okay,
And
thank you.
also, I want to inquire if teacher salaries were increased to something like 400 million. Whether
Okay,
the system really is full because if you raise the salary, people will want to go to teach. But because salaries are low, we're having this problem in pedagogy. People say, I'm not working, but I'm just doing small teaching. So
okay.
I just want to know that if a new teacher and see whether teachers can be step up beyond that 350 that minimum level.
Okay, thank you. We're not taking any call again. We will stop here. Please, the calls are too much. I can't take all that. You get fired. So want to say, let me give you the opportunity.
Thank you.
You can summarize it. You get
But I
3
think
minutes in your field.
many of the calls were all commendations.
Yeah.
People acknowledge,
Of course,
the things I've said. But let me say this. I will start with Doc. Doc, thank you for the gratitude expressed to me, like many others. But the issue of volunteer teachers, expressing concerns about account numbers and employment numbers, I don't really understand what they mean. If they receive salaries, they will continue to receive salaries because I know you remember letting the last batch was December, and we pay them, and what we even did, it was tough, but then payroll was closed. So we had to ask the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and I'm very grateful to the MFED for the pre-collaboration. They created a special payroll to pay those teachers, and those teachers have been moved now to the main payroll, the Ministry of Education's payroll. So these people who are asking these questions are not going to ask these questions anymore. Their pay will just keep coming. And he asked about increment. I want to say that the top up we did for the education, health, security, and agriculture sectors, they were for essential workers. But what we did across the sector was to bring up everybody who was taking less than 150 as their gross. We brought it up to 150. And at least we have taken a step at that level. Who knows? You don't know what will happen probably before the end of this year in terms of some payroll actions that we will take. But we'll continue to work incrementally to make sure that we can improve the salaries, the wages, and well-being of the employees. And that was one of the questions that cut across. The three people who asked, of course, specifically they asked about. So I won't go to their specific questions. But there was one of them that talked about pay grade issue, people in the same area. One thing they need to understand, we have what we call pay grade. So we are in the same range. We are directors. We should be making the same. It's not like that across many entities. And what we inherited was something that Myson is director and Myson is making $1,000. And Joker is the director, Joker making $500. And we've been struggling with that because that was not the essence of the harmonization. The essence of the harmonization was to align people's salaries with competency, professionalism, and bring a state of equilibrium. And now we are doing scenarios, analysis on what can be done, how much is needed to bridge the gaps and fix this problem, bring people from up, bring people from down up to have a state of equilibrium. But not just throw salaries at all the directors in the same category. In the same category, we have differentials. There are people with 10-year experience in our field as a director, even though the both of us are directors. But Myson has been there for 10 years. And Myson is beyond just a bachelor's degree holder. He has masters and is proving through his professional capabilities and his productivity and everything. So we got something called classification. Okay. Then, although Myson and Joker are directors, but we will have to classify Myson, put Myson in the special category and Joker in the special category. They will not take the same salary. Myson will be a little bit above. So in the pay grade, the range, the salary range, we will have to make sure that people are paid based on their qualifications and backgrounds, productivity. And that is acceptable, generally acceptable principle in HR management globally. So we're working towards that. I think basically, it was just commendations coming, and we appreciate it. But those were the two major concerns that, a few of the callers. And because they were similar, I don't want to take on them individually. Yes. But I want to say thank you again. Let me say, if I'm closing now, let me say that this was a rare opportunity. The Director General of the Civil Service Agency is sitting on the Ministry of Education show. This is something that signifies the maturity and of the officials of President Bwaka's government and understanding of their roles, and then those who impact their work, to work together collaboratively with them. I am really excited. Thank you for the opportunity. And my gratitude to the minister, my dear sister, Dr. Jala, for the opportunity provided me.
Thank you,
to here this morning.
The voice of Dr. Josiah F. Lokandinian, Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Chairman of the Board of Directors of President's Young Professionals Program, and the Chairman of the Health and Public Service Network of Africa, Dr. Josiah F. Lokandinian. Thank you so much for being our guest this morning.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you. God bless you. Until then, on behalf of the senior management team of the Ministry of Education, under the astute leadership of Dr. Jasso Malejala, my name is J. Maxine Beaton. Goodbye, good luck, God bless you. Bye-bye.